Hello everyone, Richard here, and today we're going to be taking a look at all the perks in Killing Floor 2 and see where each one stacks up compared to each other. The list does have a similar feel to my previous perk tier list, however there have been some important changes to the game that I think have shifted some of the numbers around in interesting ways. The logic I used behind ranking each perk was based on overall ease of use, flexibility, utility brought to the team, and survivability. Keep in mind that I am gearing this list more towards Suicidal and Hell on Earth, which makes certain perks much more valuable and others a bit harder to use. Number 10 on our list is probably an easy guess for most of you, and that is the Survivalist. To be fair, the perk has come a long way since its addition to the game, and is now a pretty effective perk in the right hands. However, that qualifier is a big one, and often the perk is used as an excuse to use whatever weapons the player likes, as opposed to having an overall build in mind. The Survivalist is fairly durable thanks to its damage resistance and heavy armor, and can be made even harder to kill with medic skills and healing grenades. While it doesn't have any perk specific weapons, the Killer Watt and Freeze Thrower are all pretty powerful weapons with good utility as well. It's hard to justify the Survivalist in many cases, however, as plenty of perks in KF2 have a large degree of flexibility and can do what the Survivalist does, but just simply better. If you do want to play the Survivalist, remember to be a team player and try to fill gaps in your team's composition. Coming in at number 9 on our list, we have the SWAT. A lot of you are going to be surprised that I put this perk so low, and honestly I feel like the SWAT and our number 8 perk could swap places depending on how you look at things. However, SWAT lacks some of the built-in utility that other trash killing perks have, such as the Commando's Zen Time extension and the Firebug's sheer simplicity and fire panic. The SWAT is still a very strong perk, and with the addition of the nail gun and riot shield has gained a lot in the past year. It is a very easy perk to use, and in most cases can easily handle a profusion of trash and even medium Zeds. Against big Zeds, however, it does start to suffer and relies on the Cris or nail gun and concussion grenades to be able to handle high value targets, something that the other trash killing perks don't struggle with as much. It can be kitted out for mobility for those who anticipate on running and gunning or repositioning, or for durability with improved armor and increased armor capacity, allowing you to tank a substantial amount of damage at the cost of some nice to have offensive skills. Moving on to our number 8 slot, and that is none other than the Firebug, and a perk that has gained a lot more respect over the past year or two thanks to the revamping of its skill tree and some new weapons. In the upcoming update, it is also receiving a new HRG weapon and getting buffs for ground fire. The Firebug is absolutely top tier when it comes to eliminating trash, even with its starting weapon, which is arguably the best tier 1 weapon. Where the Firebug does run into issues is its tendency to cause chaos and give your precision perks like Commando, Gunslinger, and Sharpshooter a headache by either blocking line of sight with walls of napalm or by causing Zeds to fire panic. Immolating trash Zeds typically isn't an issue, as they will likely die from the fire DOT, but flaming Skrakes and flesh pounds are another story entirely. The Firebug also has some awkward weapons in its arsenal. The Husk Cannon and Trench Gun come to mind, and they sort of lack the punch and efficiency of other weapons. The Firebug overall is an excellent perk, as long as you are considerate of your teammates and don't share a firing lane with a precision perk. Taking the number 7 spot on my list is the Berserker. Arguably the most durable perk in KF2, but one that has a significant learning curve thanks mostly to the half-to-bake melee swing system. On lower difficulties, the Berserker can be forgiving thanks to its quick movement speed, damage resistance, and ability to resist clot grabbing. However, once you reach Suicidal, and even more so on Hell on Earth, the Berserker requires a lot more finesse and good timing to be effective. Properly timing blocks and parries, judging swings and enemy attacks, and watching your back are all critical to being a good Berserker. However, once these are mastered, or at least competently applied, the Zerk becomes a close-range killing machine, and is effective against almost all enemies. The Berserker also has some ranged options too. The nail gun in particular is very strong against flesh pounds, and when upgraded can allow you to more safely handle husks and bloats. Its high skill floor and skill ceiling on high difficulties are the main reasons why the Berserker is not higher on my list. The sixth perk on my list, and everyone's favorite guilty pleasure, is the Demolitionist. Like with SWAT and Firebug, I could see the Demo and Zerk swapping places on my list depending on perspective. However, the Demolitionist does offer some fairly unique abilities that the other perks just don't have. Namely, its ability to handle Skrakes and Flesh Pounds very easily, and the added benefit of handling triple Flesh Pound and quarter pound spawn rushes. That being said, the Demo has a bit of a liability problem attached to him. They can accidentally enrage Skrakes and Flesh Pounds, and the concussive force from your explosions can disrupt your teammates' aim. The Demos also require some experience to get proficient with, as they tend to perform poorly when Zeds get too close. Certain weapons like the M16 M203 can aid when combat gets hectic, but using it severely limits your loadout potential when it comes to using the RPG and C4. Game knowledge is particularly important for the Demolitionist, as knowing how to deal with big Zeds, skill setups, and loadout configurations can make a huge difference in the long run. 5 down, 5 to go, and the fifth perk on my list is going to be the Support, a fairly simple and straightforward perk. The Support hosts a wide variety of shotguns and shotgun-type weapons. They excel at dealing with groups of enemies at close range, especially in narrow hallways or corridors where the Support's additional penetration power will come into play. In addition to its above-average combat abilities against most enemies, the Support can also resupply ammo to teammates, saving them money and making long waves in boss battles much easier. The Support also has a fair amount of loadout diversity, being able to fight in a general purpose role with a 3 shotgun build, be a hallway hero with the AA-12 or nail gun, and obliterate large Zeds with the Doomstick. While welding is often not an ideal option in many maps and situations, the Support's improved welder and ability to repair doors makes it a fun combo with the Demo, especially on maps like Biotic Slab and Evacuation Point. The only real limitations of the Support are that it lacks any durability bonuses without severely compromising its damage output and average movement speed. Number 4 on my list, and the all-time decapitation champion since Killing Floor 1, is the Sharpshooter. Despite its focus on headshots and high damage weaponry, the Sharpshooter can be a very flexible perk depending on your loadouts and can certainly fill gaps in your team if need be. Against large Zeds, there is really no other perk that is as ammo efficient as Sharpshooter with an M99 or upgraded railgun. It also has the added utility of being able to generate Z time reliably thanks to its level 25 skills. On lower difficulties, Z time is a nice bonus, but on Suicidal, Hell on Earth, and Control difficulty, Z time is absolutely critical for your team. Many perks can fire faster or not expend ammunition during Z time, and it also allows you to more accurately engage Zeds. The downsides to the Sharpshooter are few but worth mentioning. They include their rather fragile nature, especially against groups of enemies at close range, and their reliance on headshots, which can make it a challenge for newer players. Moving on to number 3, we have the indispensable Field Medic, a healer and trash clearer all wrapped into one. While a medic won't come close to rivaling the trash killing prowess of its counterparts, it can at least keep the heat off your Sharpshooters and Demos. Its ability to heal teammates quickly and consistently, especially with the Med-AR and Grenade Rifle, makes it very important, especially in public matches. The core mechanics of the perk are pretty easy to understand, but there is a bit of complexity when it comes to what weapons are actually worth using and which ones are a waste of dosh and carry space. Its extra armor, movement speed, health, and improved syringe all make the medic a very tough perk to fell. In addition to healing teammates, you can also buff them with the right skills equipped and further improve your team's fighting capabilities. Overall, the Medic is a very powerful perk and damn near essential against bosses in pub games where a boss can quickly cripple a teammate or your whole team if you're as unlucky as I am. Position 2 on my list, and my first perk to level 25, the Commando, is a core component of any high-level team. To new players, Z time may seem like a novel or gimmicky mechanic. However, with a good Commando, Z time is where your team makes money, thanks to the Commando's ability to extend Z time with kills. This allows you to make it last over 20 seconds if timed correctly, and with enough enemies to kill. With that much time, a team can easily annihilate several large Zeds and most of the spawned enemies with time to spare. The Commando's arsenal is also flexible and very accurate. While most weapons will specialize in trash clearing and taking down medium Zeds, the FN-FAL can bring down the occasional large Zed with a bit of practice. It can also off-perk the Medic Assault Rifle or Grenade Rifle to help bolster your team's healing abilities. The big drawbacks for the Commando include the unfortunate fact that your Z time extensions are likely to be stolen by a teammate and only having one good weapon for dealing with large Zeds, although both of these issues are easily fixed by playing with a good team. The number one perk on my list, and one a lot of you probably already had guessed, is the Gunslinger. Its major advantages include its speed, high damage weapons, and operant conditioning damage boost with the Rack 'em Up skill. Admittedly, the Gunslinger isn't the easiest perk to pick up and play for the uninitiated, but the perk definitely tries to point people in the right direction. It also has arguably the most overpowered weapons in the game, the Desert Eagles, specifically the Tier 5 Desert Eagles. While they are pricey and have a fair amount of kick, they can absolutely annihilate big Zeds in the blink of an eye if you're accurate and quick enough. The rest of the arsenal is also very powerful too, with the 500s and AF 2011s serving as good stand-ins for the Deagles, and the M1911s, Rhinos, and Medic Pistol serving well in trash killing. The Gunslinger's high movement speed also keeps it from easily being cornered or cut down by large Zeds and bosses, although you can still have some trouble outrunning the Abomination. The only downsides to the Gunslinger are its notable learning curve and frequent and sometimes very long reloads. Despite these, it's pretty easy to see why I think the Gunslinger is the strongest perk in Killing Floor 2. I hope you all enjoyed this list, or at least understood where I was coming from and why I put certain perks where they are. Obviously, this is a fairly subjective video and focuses mostly around my interpretation of the game and my experience with it. I would love to know how you would rank all the perks, so please feel free to drop your list in the comments below. Also, check out my community section on my channel to vote on the next Killing Floor video. But until then, happy hunting!